I wanted to be at Texas State. I chose to be at Texas State. I'm from Texas. That was important to me. I always knew if the right guy got this job, you better watch out.
You better watch out. This is Win Now or Get Bent, episode 150. If you don't already know, I'm Kev Chardello, coming to you on Wednesday, December 27th. No headsets, no booze, at least in the second half. No problem for the Bobcats. Texas State takes down the Rice Owls in the First Responders Bowl 45-21. And man, they painted the streets of Dallas maroon and gold. Everywhere you looked, Bobcat fans all over the place. Sickos as far as the eye could see. It was a beautiful, beautiful sight in Dallas. It was a great weekend. I guess it was Monday and Tuesday, so not really a weekend. It felt like a weekend because it was a party from the moment I got there. I got there on Monday, on Christmas. I walk in, and then in the lobby, in the bar, bunch of Bobcats, a couple hundred of them. It seemed like it already getting it in, man. What a time. What a great game. What a terrible venue. I'll talk about that as well. But everything else was fantastic. That was an absolute blast. And we made it. Finally, huh? All you sickos out here listening, man, you guys have been waiting on this for so long, and it's here. Relish in it, cherish it. I know I am. I feel great. I just got back to San Marcos. It's been a long 2 days, and I didn't want to rest. I got to do the pod. I want to jump right on. And man, I am fired up to interview a lot of people that I got to talk to up there, the people in and around the Texas State program. So many great feelings and vibes. Everybody is as optimistic as I've ever seen and proud to be a Bobcat as I've ever seen, man. Till the whole world knows our name. Let's get it. Oh, we're going to talk about a lot. We're going to talk about that game. We're going to talk about Dallas. We're going to talk about what this means for the future. We got a little bit of bad news too. I'm sure some of you saw that, but we'll talk about that as well. But before we get there, this episode is sponsored by TGC LLC, the Galindo Collective at thegalindocollective.com. That's GALINDO, galindocollective.com. A team of professional consultants dedicated to helping others realize their business potential through people, planning, and practice. Their services cover a wide range of areas such as business strategy, marketing, human resources, and financial planning. If you own property or a business and want to maximize its profitability, contact TGC at thegalindocollective.com and follow their social media platforms on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at TGC_LLC, and on Instagram and Facebook at the Galindo Collective. We're going to give an extra special shout out to my guy, Rick Galindo, a true Texas State sicko, a Texas State grad. We wouldn't have been able to go to Dallas without him. We wouldn't have been able to operate at the level that we did this season without him, without his initial support in the spring, through the summer, and into the season. He has been with us. He's believed in this vision, believed in what we do here, and above all else, he's believed in the Bobcats. When I think of sickos that I'm happy the most for, Rick's right up there, man. I'm so happy for y'all that me as well. We all get to relish in this and enjoy it. And I cannot thank Rick Galindo enough for supporting us and believing in us. And we're going to be doing lots of cool stuff in the future with Rick Galindo. So that's a name. You've heard me say it a lot. You've heard me say TGC LLC a lot, the GalindoCollective.com a lot. You're going to hear me say it a lot more. So shout out to Rick Galindo. Can't thank him enough. Go hit up the Galindo Collective. Any of their needs that you need, hit them up. GALINDO, galindocollective.com. All right. We are also sponsored by Family First Cremation Services. Family First Cremation Services is a highly rated and affordable option for families during challenging times. Independently owned by Diane Lee, Family First assures families that we prioritize the well-being and comfort above everything else. Transparency is important to us, which is why we encourage you to visit our website at familyfirstcremations.com or for more information on pricing and our services, feel free to reach out directly, 281-541-0291. That's 281-541-0291. 691. Over 20 years of experience in the industry for Diane. She's had the privilege of serving the community with compassionate and personalized funeral services in Spring and the surrounding Houston area. Diane independently established Family First in 2017. She's related to a sicko. So she's a sicko, an honorary sicko, if you will. You get a relish in that bowl victory as well, Diane. So thank you very much for that. And thank you to Family First Cremations for sponsoring us. You can find them again, their website, familyfirstcremations.com. And a quick plug for our guy, Dennis Redding over at Chilsea. Hold on, where's the tumbler? There it is. I got it right here. Bam, right there. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, Win Now or Get Bent on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. You see me holding this awesome tumbler with a Win Now or Get Bent logo. It's even got one on the other side right there. Nice lid, keeps your drinks cool, keeps them warm, whatever you want. You order 6 of those, custom ones, whatever you want on them. You don't have to get the Win Now or Get Bent logo, whatever you want on there. If you order 6 or more and you punch in Bobcats at the checkout, $15 a piece on those, which is a really good deal. But you can do custom tumblers, custom koozies, which I handed out a couple more this weekend. I didn't have enough. So many people asked for them. I got to figure out another deal with my guy Dennis over at Chilsea so that we can get y'all some more. But hit them up at chilsey.com. That's CHILLZEY, chilsey.com. Shout out to Dennis Redding, a true sicko, a Tech State grad himself. Really appreciate him believing in this whole deal this season. All right, let's get to these Bobcats. It's interesting looking at the ad read I've just read all of that stuff, and usually I have some prep, just some bullet point notes. I didn't type anything. We're going straight off the dome right now. We're just going off my head. I may pull up some stats from the game just so we make sure we get that right. It's hard, despite all the beer that was flowing the last couple of days. It's hard. All the details are seared into my brain just because it was such a monumental moment. It was incredible. And we'll talk about the game. We'll get to the game, but let's preface it. Let's preface it with what the scene was like in Dallas. A lot of you were there. A lot of you were there, man. I shook a lot of hands. And for the record, you guys don't have to buy my beer, but I do appreciate it every time that happens, no doubt. But don't ever feel obligated, man. You coming up and saying you listen to the pod and you're rocking with what we do, it's more than enough for me. That it makes my night every time somebody does it. So it's great, man. It was great to hear a lot of that in Dallas. But so let's talk about Dallas. I got there Christmas Day, drove up at Christmas evening. I'll say, I had to. It's like I got a little daughter. I had to hang out a little bit. Raiders were playing too. I might have had to sit there and watch them beat the Chiefs a little bit. But then I get to Dallas. I was staying at the Westin. It was the same place the players were staying. Shout out to Rick Galindo for that. The Galindo Collective. He didn't even ask where to stay. He booked the Westin. He already knew where they were at. So he hooked me up because that was beneficial for the whole weekend or whole couple days. I keep saying weekend. It's Wednesday right now. Um, so I get there, I show up to the Westin, and there's a big Bobcat party going on in the hotel bar right there. There's even a sign in. You sign up, they'll give you a pin, like a Texas State pin you put on your shirt or your jacket, and you get drink tickets, which, hey man, I'm sold. And I get in there, and it's just an eclectic group of Bobcats from all across generations. I mean, Karen Chisholm's there. Of course, Dr. Kelly Danfus is walking around. You've got coaches around. You got former players. Jeff Foster was walking around. I ran into Mike Arakpo. I ran into so many former Bobcats from different generations of this whole deal. And it was a blast. That was fun sitting there, and that was quite the welcoming party because I'm trying to check in. And I'm like, man, I got to go drop my bags off and get in there real quick. That was a great start to the whole situation. It was a deal hosted by Dr. Kelly Damphus and his wife Beth. It's great moment for all the Bobcats there. I know everybody there stayed till the end. But then even the next day, but even right then, that was the foreshadowing for how many Bobcats were actually in Dallas. I mean, you're walking down Main Street or anything in Dallas. I walked over to go see where JFK got shot, tried to do my best to solve that, did a little investigation, inconclusive. I don't know. But I did my best. And you're walking all the way down and you just see Bobcats and you hit them with it, eat them up, and they hit it back with to you. And It was great, man. 3.5 hours from San Marcos. And I mean, just talking to people, there's people that I was chatting with. They're like, I haven't been to a game since 2013, and it's just, it's bringing people back. Man, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but even the day of, there was a Ozona bar. Shout out to Ozona Bar in Dallas. If you're in the area, go support them. They're right there by SMU's campus. Bobcat owned bar. That was cool. We got in there and they had a whole back room set aside for everybody. It was sickos all across the board, media members. It was awesome. It was a fantastic time. I leave that deal. I go to get to the game, and this is where it starts to get a little dicey because I'm getting to the game nice and early, like to get there a couple hours early so that I can figure out the lay of the land a little bit. And it took me over an hour to get into the parking garage because they had two main roads that were closed for whatever reasons. Don't know exactly why. And it just created this awful, awful traffic. I also think they didn't anticipate the First Responders Bowl was going to have such a big turnout because it sure did, man. It sure did. That was quite the turnout. They were not ready logistically at all. But I'm mad. I'm waiting in line trying to get in this garage, and it's just all Bobcats walking up. It's maybe every 10th Bobcat I'll see a Rice Owls hat, but it was Bobcats as far as the eye could see. And it was kind of nice getting to sit in that long, long line of traffic. I got to people watch from my car. You can observe everybody. Not being a weirdo staring at them out in the wild. You're kind of hidden in your car, and there's so many people embracing and just having such a great time. One moment that really stood out was the bunch of Tech State fans are walking down the street, and I don't know exactly what fraternity, but there was a frat house on the street they were walking on. They all pointed. It's a bunch of dudes, maybe class of '80 somewhere around there, and they pointed to the fraternity logo, and they all ran up and they took a picture by it, even though it's SMU's campus. I'm sure that was their fraternity, and they threw up the states up in the claw. They did that whole deal. And in my mind, I'm thinking like these guys probably hadn't gotten together like this for a Texas State deal in so long. And this is bringing them together. This brought all of us together into Dallas. I mean, I've got family members who went to Texas State reaching out that have never thought about Texas State in a long time. But people that I know that really, really care about it. And it was a incredible scene walking into driving up to that stadium and everything and seeing everybody there. And of course, I have the beat down Bobcat in my mind, like, gosh, if they lose, this is going to be a huge, huge disappointment. They didn't, though. They didn't lose. They got that win. No getting bent. Everybody kept coming up and saying, "We're not getting bent now." And I was like, "You're right. You're right." It's the win now part of it that they got down. Fans rushing the field, stadium running out of booze. I mean, just incredible showing by Texas State. And this was a game where it was all by itself on the stage. So there was a lot of people watching that game. And that's what you put the eyes on this university. There I see on Twitter X, whatever you want to call it, people sending messages like, "Man, I should have gone to Texas State. Wow, I didn't know they do it like this." It's like, yep, exactly. I think the best part about obviously all the joyous Bobcats, that's the best part about Twitter and X and all that right now. I guess my second favorite part is the UTSA fan base trying to cope with the Bobcats' rise. Because here they come, and they know it. They can feel it. They can feel it. Hey, took you 119 years to get your first bowl win. They like to say things like that. And it took them 5 tries to get their first bowl win. Okay. Bobcats got it in their first try. So there's that. And if you want to really compare the whole situation, Texas State, both bowl games, the First Responders Bowl for Texas State and the Frisco Bowl were in the DFW area. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know how far away Frisco is from Dallas, but it's up there. It's in the North Texas area, and they had 11,000 at their game. 11,000 at their game. How many the Bobcats have? 26,542. That's right. I got that exact number already memorized in my brain because that's a First Responders Bowl record. In fact, it is the highest attended game at Ford Stadium, SMU Stadium in Dallas, all season. Was that game? Wasn't even the most attended game at Bobcat Stadium. Bobcats had more than that down here. And I think that right there shows you everything. Because you remember UTSA? They got all bent out of shape when I was talking about that game earlier. And I said, well, neutral field, a lot of fans are going to travel. And they got all bent out of shape. And then what happened? Near 60,000 showed up to the Alamo Dome. And they would like to sit there and say, well, it was a mix of both. And it was a mix of both. You got to give the Bobcats credit. They traveled to Dallas. Okay. That's 3.5 hours away. You can bet that he traveled to San Antonio in waves just like they did. Fresh off that Baylor game, get out of here. So let them birds talk all they want. Let them be mad. Let them cope. This got to hurt because 2024 is coming. That pendulum is swinging. It's going to swing back hard. I've been waiting on it for a long time to swing back. You can talk about 5-0 all you want. We'll see you in 2024. How about that? No GJ will be back. Let's talk about the game. I've done a lot talking about everything around the game. Let's talk about it. I got on a little tangent about UTS. I can't help it. I just see them on there. I'm like, come on, man. Just sit there quietly for this one night. Saw it as their Barstool UTSA account, too. That guy's got like 4,000 followers. How are you a Barstool account with 4,000 followers, man? Step your game up. The Texas State one's got like, I don't know, 15K, something like that. Get out of here. They don't have are they better at football right now? Sure. They don't have the fan base like that. They don't. They don't have that undying passion. Because I'll tell you what, if they went through 8 years of what we went through, they'd have 0 people at their games. So let's talk about the game. Let's snub UTSA. Can't let them ruin my good time right now. As I said, 45-21 earlier. Didn't relinquish the lead. Tied. There was a tie for a little bit, but they didn't relinquish that lead. Twice tied. Actually, now I look at it, for about 7-7. It tied also. Bobcats, they took that lead right off the bat and they didn't let it go. Jeter, he got the scoring party started with his touchdown, 29-yard run, longest run for him all year. He ended up with 3 touchdowns this game. Great stuff from the senior. Guy's been here for a while. He's never really the starter, always in the rotation though. This year he took on a new role. It's kind of like a goal line back. And they unleashed him in this game. And it was unleashed him for some touchdowns, I should say. Ishmael Mahdi was 122 yards rushing. He got the bulk of the yards, but Jeter was getting in there and getting those touchdowns. After the Jeter score, it's 13-25 left in the first quarter. So right off the bat in the first quarter, that's what they've been doing a lot. This team, they do that. They score real quickly. But then Rice came down. They got their touchdown with Luke McCaffrey. Bobcats responded right before the second quarter with another Jeter touchdown, back to back for Jeter. And then this is when the fun really started to start. This is also around the time y'all ran out of booze in the stadium, which is all time. I don't think I haven't even talked about that enough. Absolutely incredible that SMU did not have enough beer for a bowl game. Are you kidding me? Do you not look at the ticket sales? Maybe they didn't realize you gotta have a dozen for each ticket when the Bobcats are coming in town. But they weren't prepared. They weren't prepared on many fronts. Like I said, logistically with parking, even when I was trying to get down to the field at the end of the game, I almost missed that. I almost missed everybody rushing the field because of the odd logistics of Ford Stadium. Even like when you leave the press box, you have to leave the stadium and come back in to get to the concourse so you can get to the field. Weird situation, because I was wanting to meet up with some of y'all that were at the game and couldn't work out, but I saw you on the field anyway because all of you rushed it. But yeah, so okay, let's get to the second quarter. This is where the fun really starts. Brian Holloway, 36-yard interception, returned it for a touchdown, pick 6. This guy, I mean, he's a middle linebacker. He led the team in interceptions this season. And he wasn't even done. That was the first little bit of it this game. What a dog number 0 is. Brian Holloway. I mean, I knew he was before this game, and he proved it even more. And it's even cooler when you talk to him afterwards and, hey, you just won MVP of the First Responders Bowl. How's it feel? His first thought is giving it up to God, giving glory to God. And it tells you what a good person he is. But yeah, that pick 6 by Brian Holloway, that was nice. Rice started to get back into it a little bit after that. We saw two Dean Connors touchdown. We talked about Dean Connors in the preview pod a little bit. He's a pretty good running back for them, though they held him in check pretty good. They held him and Luke McCaffrey in check pretty good. In fact, let me go look at their stats real quick. I know McCaffrey, he had 10 targets and 10 targets, 3 catches for 29 yards on 10 targets. One of the best receivers there is in college football, I should say. Yeah, Dean Connors, 64 yards rushing, 15 rushes, 64 yards. Those are two really good players that they held in check, at least for the most part. But let's go back to the scoring a little bit. So they do that. They tied at 21. A few minutes before halftime, Bobcats do. They get a field goal right as time expires. Mason Shipley, his 15th field goal. He's also hadn't missed the whole season. And I'll be honest, I didn't tweet it, especially after he got that 15th one, because I'm not a superstitious guy. But you know, maybe the reporter jinx can be real sometimes. And I didn't want to be like, oh wow, he's 15 for 15 on the season. Hadn't missed all season from field goal. Missed one extra point. But yeah, finished the season 15 for 15. That's a program record 15 made field goals for Texas State as well. So shout out to Mason Shipley, him and his twin brother Matthew. But then we get to the third quarter, halftime, get to the third quarter, which, by the way, Rice's band performance at halftime, especially for being the home team, uh, not great. Was very poor. I was like, oh man, it's always interesting when sometimes I get spoiled by like the Strutters and Tech State band and everything because it's really well done, it's really organized. Then you see some other schools where they're not fully focused in those areas, and you can tell. They're pretty smart though. They're real worried about that APR there. Keep that APR up, Rice. You got it. You got it. But let's get to the third quarter. Pooch kick. Bobcats are kicking off. They do a little pooch kick. Seen them do this all year. Shout out to DePrado, the special teams coach. Another sneaky play by him. That pooch kick, they recover it. I think it's 10 plays later, now that I'm looking at it. 10 play, 30-yard drive for the touchdown after they recovered on the 30 on a pass back. I call it a lateral, actually, to Nash Jones. All of you have seen this, I'm sure. A 320-pound man scores a touchdown. I'm sure all of you have seen it by this time. I was in a bar last night, and the top 10 for SportsCenter came on, and he wasn't on there. I know me and the Wizard were not too thrilled about that. How do you leave that off a top 10? Okay, they're like some soccer plays and hockey plays. I'm like, come on, man. None of those guys are 320 pounds that scored, but Nash Jones did. They did. They rolled. TJ Finley took the ball. He rolls right. Looks like they were doing a bootleg of some sort. And Nash Jones, sneaky play. He just backs up. He didn't have to be an eligible receiver or anything. He just backed up, threw it behind him. Nash catching the ball and turning upfield was not something I expected. The way he turned, like he'd been itching for that for a long time. And even talking to GJ Kenny after the game, he said there were a few times he wanted to use it and he didn't, and he held it back. Seemed like he saved it for the bowl game, which was the right time. Nash Jones said he's been banging the table to get that play called for a while. Cool moment for Nash too, especially missing all those games that he did. He got hurt in the UTSA game, like the first quarter, didn't come back till 2 games left in the regular season. At full health last night. They were at full health all across the board. There were just a couple guys I saw not dressed, like Sam Latham, Drew Donnelly, but otherwise they had all their guys. All their seniors played. None of them opted out. We did hear some transfer portal guys. We'll hear about that. Just a couple of them. A little teaser for you. Not a fun teaser, sorry. But then let's cut ahead a little right after this touchdown by Nash Jones, and everyone's reeling. Everyone is ecstatic, or even looking around at each other in the press box. Not allowed to cheer in the press box. We're looking at each other like, big man just scored. This is great. What else can they do? What could they possibly do to make it even better? And what does Brian Holloway do? About, I don't know, it was like 3 plays later after that touchdown. I don't even remember. It was really quick. A 48-yard interception returned for a touchdown. 48-yard pick six. That's how I should say that. He upped it 12 yards from the one he had earlier in the game. Just incredible. He's the first. Okay. 119 years of Texas State football. You realize that's an incredibly long time. That is a lifetime and a half for a lot of people. And Two pick sixes has never happened before. How about that? So right there, you want some history? You want to talk about the first bowl win ever? You want to talk about the first eighth win as an FBS program? Those are great. That one there blows my mind. That there wasn't some time in, like, 1952 somebody did it, or some crazy game in the 90s. It's never happened. It's never happened in Tech State's history. Just incredible stuff. And from Brian Holloway, who he started his, I shouldn't say started his career, he started his collegiate career at Kilgore, and then he went to SMU, and he was there for 3 years. So he played at Ford Stadium all the time. And for him to wrap up his collegiate career at that stadium and to do what he did with those two touchdowns, take home that first responders MVP. Thought it was funny when someone asked him about the crowd if it felt like a home game. And he's like, well, I was here for 3 years. It felt like a home game no matter what. It's like, yeah, he's got a lot of experience in that stadium. What a nice poetic finish for Brian Holloway. Can't wait to see him playing in the league next year. One of those leagues somewhere, someone's gonna pick him up on the pro level, and I'm gonna buy a jersey because that guy is incredible. But that was in the third quarter, and they didn't score. Nobody scored for like a quarter and a half. It felt like it was a long time. Nobody scored. You had some interceptions. Bobby Crosby, Sean Holton, Caleb Ford Dement, five interceptions in the game, and that's been a little bit of an issue for this team all season. Is the lack of interceptions? They've gotten plenty of forced fumbles. In fact, I learned, I didn't even realize this. I can't believe it. They lead the nation in forced fumbles. Texas State does. Didn't realize that. I knew the TFL one because we made fun of JMU with that whole deal. But yeah, forced fumbles as well was something. But the interceptions were lacking. Weren't lacking last night. Five of them, five interceptions. Four of those interceptions were by seniors, two by Holloway. Sean Holton got one, and Caleb Ford Dement got one. So those three guys got interceptions in their last game as a Bobcat. Pretty cool stuff. And shout out to Bobby Crosby as well. They gave him, he had a, uh, he was the one with the 15-yard penalty on that punt in the first half where he ran into the receiver. Made up for it though. Got that interception. I missed his interception and this final play. I'm gonna tell you the Jamal Jeter touchdown. To just the coup de grace, just end it for him. Say good night, Owls. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you. Maybe stock up on beer next time you schedule us. But it was I missed the Jeter touchdowns. Like I was saying, I was trying to get from the press box to the field. Just fighting through a crowd, trying to figure it out. It was pretty cool though, right as the clock was ticking, and I'm like desperate trying to get down to the field and get to these stairs. Some guys were like, "It's his media, it's Tech State media, get out of the way." And they parted for me. And I was like, "Thank you guys. That was very nice." I wouldn't have gotten that in the rice section, that's for sure. Oh man. But yeah, and so 45-21, the Jeter touchdown, that cemented the final score. Started the game with an early Jeter touchdown, ended it with a late Jeter touchdown. And the fans rushed the field. I didn't anticipate fans rushing the field. I didn't know. I never covered a bowl game. Never been in that situation before. And so when I was when I get down there and looking around, you're seeing everyone revving up, trying to get over the railing, and you see some of the SMU security guards there. So a few of them were getting their hands up, ready to stop some people. And an officer walked up and said, let them go." I thought that was great. It was the security guard. He kind of got cucked by the police officer. It was like, "No, man, it's cool. You guys come on, go rush the field." And that field was full. Lots of Bobcats out there. Cigars being smoked on the sideline. Everyone posing with the trophies. And man, what a moment. What a moment. I ran into so many people on the field too, through walks of life. My guy, Chris Kaufman, of course, got to shout him out. Charles Reyna, shout out to Charles. My guy Todd, I don't know why I can't remember your last name, Todd. But shout out to you, man. You bought me that pizza and everything. Message me and remind me your last name there. But it was so great running into so many former players, people of all walks of Bobcat life on that field. Was just a beautiful sight, man. It was. I keep saying "man" this episode because I'm just try not to get all emotional about it and undercut it with something, but it was it's like it's something that we all knew was possible. The sleeping giant. We've all talked about it, and it's awake. GJ said it last night at the press conference. It's awake, and it's just the beginning. Beating an in-state opponent in an in-state bowl game with everybody watching, everybody taking notes. Now you gotta watch out for the Bobcats. It's an incredible, incredible moment. I hope you're all relishing it and enjoying it. Don't let those birds get you down. I won't let them get me down. I'll give you a good UTSA story. My brother, I don't admit this a lot. He's a UTSA grad. He's a road runner. He's casual football fan though. He's not super into it. And he was one of the first people to reach out after that win, saying he was happy for the Bobcats and what a cool moment and all that. So, that was pretty cool. That was nice. It was still a little bit of like, he is my older brother, but it was a little bit of little brother patting me on the head, like, oh, you guys did real good. You finally got there. But that's okay. It's okay. 2024, it's coming. It's coming. What a season for GJ Kinney. What a season for the whole program. Dr. Kelly Damphus just absolutely galvanizing this place. Don Coryell doing what he's got to do to keep this place and elevate it to where it is right now. I mean, they all came together and they put together an awesome season, an 8-win season. It wasn't even perfect because there's still a couple monkeys on the back of this program. Still haven't beat UTSA. That's why I keep bringing them up. Still haven't beat Louisiana. That one's on my mind too. After last year, especially with the Wizards, Zachary Webb, our great producer here at Win Now or Get Bent, his undergrad, he went to McNeese. So they really, really hate the Raging Cajuns. They can't stand them. He refuses to say Louisiana. They're ULL all the way. And I loved it for his McNeese team. They're killing it. Will Wade down there, that basketball team for McNeese, they're doing great. Actually beat the Bobcats. We won't talk about that. But they also beat the Raging Cajuns in their Twitter account, putting that out. Here's that L y'all have been forgetting. I like that one a lot. But I say all that. Just say that's 10 games. 10 games that the Raging Cajuns have beaten the Bobcats. I'd have to go back and look. I'm pretty sure it's 10 years in a row. Not it's all within recent history, all since the Bobcats have been in the Sun Belt. They have not beaten that team. So that's another one. If they had gotten those 2 wins that year, we're looking at a double-digit win season. And I think that's the new bar for this program. I don't mean to put more pressure anywhere for anything, but after a season like this, you want to improve on it. You want to go up double digits. Haven't gotten to double digits in the FBS era. Been a long time since they've gotten double digits. 2005, been that long. So there's still things to accomplish. There's still plenty to do with this program to elevate it, but I think they have the right people in place to do that. I know they have the right people in place to do that. I mean, gosh, GJ Kinney, man, it feels surreal him even being the coach here still at Texas State after a year. Because after I was a big fan of him at Incarnate Word, talked about him on the pod. I can remember episode 66, my guy Jim Johnson, who I met in person as well at Azuna. Shout out to Jim Johnson. He submitted a question to the pod. It was a mailbag pod, and this was September of last season. And it said if what we think's going to happen is going to happen. It was right before they started Sunbelt the conference play. Who do you think would be a good replacement for Jake Spavital? And my first one was GJ Kinney, coach at Incarnate Word. He was like 3 games into his tenure there and everything. And to see where it is now, thinking back to September 2022 to December 2023, it's man, it's it's hard to even truly fathom it and accept it, even when I'm driving back from Dallas. And that was the other cool part. So I'm driving up to Dallas, 3.5 hour drive, just a little past the halfway mark of that drive, Waco, Texas. There's McLean Stadium sitting right there on the Brazos River, right off 35. And it reminded me, this is where this whole deal started at the beginning of the season, with me driving up there. The Wizard driving up there too. What a season, man. What a season for my guy. His first season jumping in on this media deal. Bobcats get 8 wins. But it was just the synergy there. Not a synergy. It's just such a full circle moment to drive past McLean. Because I can remember that in September when they beat Baylor. And when I was driving to McLean Stadium that day, I didn't expect the Bobcats to win. Not at all. Not even a little bit. In my mind, I was like, they compete, probably have a good season. And they whooped them. That was a complete game. They didn't whoop them, but it was a complete game. They led the whole game. And it was the proof of concept that we've talked about with this team And it was a full circle moment to be looking at McLean Stadium again. Then I driving back from San Marcos from McLean Stadium at 2 in the morning, just on cloud nine. I had so much energy. I couldn't sleep when I got back. I was so excited because I knew something special was on the horizon, and it didn't disappoint. It was special. It was incredible, incredible stuff. Very proud to be a Bobcat. Very proud. I'm always proud. I'm always proud. I got my class ring on and everything. I don't wear it a whole lot. Class of 2012 right here. I had to wear it up to Dallas, and I haven't been able to take it off. Honestly, I'm very, very, very proud of this institution, this program, these people, you sickos out there, just everybody involved in this. It's great times for us. Now we got to build on it. That foundation is there. Starting to get the framing of the house built. Let's finish this deal. Let's build this nice, beautiful house for the whole world to see, till the whole world knows our name. That's a true deal. I hear that and take it personal. And I know all of you do as well. Let's get to some bad news though. All right, as it's a lot of happy-go-lucky talking, but there's some things. There's some fallout from the bowl game. Peter Thamel tweeted out or X'd out. What do we have a name for an X? Is it just called an X, like a tweet? I don't know. Who knows? I think I'm overthinking it. That's their fault, man, for changing the name. But yeah, so Pete Thamel tweeted out last night that Jonathan Packey is off to Duke, reuniting with Manny Diaz. Manny Diaz was named the coach there. They used to be on staff. In fact, he refers to him as his mentor all the time. Whenever you talk to Packey about his philosophy, Diaz is the first guy he's going to bring up. And it's a shame. It's a shame, no doubt. To lose any of the coaches is after this season is less than ideal. Part of me understands why he took it, though. Like I said, the whole Manny Diaz connection. Maybe he got a raise. I imagine he did. Duke's a fine institution. I imagine they have some money. But I also believe in GJ to go find another up and coming defensive coordinator. And shoot, it's a much better place for a candidate now. You know, I mean, much better than it was a few years ago or even just last year when you talk about coming in and being the defensive coordinator at Texas State, might be a little bit more coveted. So I've have full belief in them to go find somebody. Obviously it's going to be different. Who knows what that defense will look like? Because even though the defense, it did have flaws, it had some flaws. Maybe not enough interceptions, maybe too many undisciplined penalties, a little lackadaisical on the tackling sometimes. But for the most part, led the nation in TFLs, led the nation in forced fumbles, made big plays when they needed to. Brian Holloway, two pick sixes in a bowl game. That's the defense right there. Defense played huge. They held Rice scoreless in the second half. That was also pretty sweet. What a great note for Packy to go out on, because I'm certain he had that job lined up before the game. But if he didn't, and they were still questioning whether they wanted him after that game, you take him in after 5 interceptions, sacks. I didn't even how many sacks did they have the game? I love that too. On defense, the game started with a Jordan Revel sack, which was great. Uh, let's see how many sacks the Bobcats had in this one. Two, three, four sacks. Four sacks in this one. Bunch of TFLs too. I say a bunch, but five and a half. It looks like. Um, it was a terrific defensive performance. Second quarter got dicey, as I mentioned, with the Dean Connors touchdowns and everything, but a nice game for him to go out on. He'll be missed. He'll be missed. I like Jonathan Patke a lot. He's a good guy. I loved his interviews. Um, it's I think they'll have a replacement sooner than later with this whole situation. Seems like they like to move pretty quick on those. Some transfer portal fallout as well. This one really stings. Ashton Hawkins in the transfer portal. That's a real shame. He is the all-time leader in receptions at the FBS level for Texas State. Had that terrific season last year, had another really good season this year. Guess he's looking to capitalize on it and move on to somewhere else. I'll root for Ashton no matter where he goes, no doubt. Then Denario Davenport as well, backup running back. We saw Jeter get a bulk of the backup carries. So I wonder if that played into it a little bit, or if it was decided before the game. I'm not sure. Marty still seems like he's coming back. I think he would have announced by now. Oh, here we go. Knock on some wood for everybody. And they're bringing in Jalen Jenkins. I know they're looking real hard at Tajee Atkins, the Westfield running back. So they're gonna have some good back. Lincoln Perry's gonna be back next year as well. Um, so that's a tough loss. You don't want to lose any bodies in any position. But the running back one, I think they're pretty thick there, so they'll be okay. Receiver, they're pretty deep at receiver, but you're losing Hawkins. That's a big loss, no matter what, no matter how deep you are at receiver. I think he's a pretty special player. But we talked about this recruiting class 2024, the receivers they signed, Bo Sparks, the Jaden Williams from Boston College, Kylan Evans, he'll be a true freshman, Jordan Martin from Kimball. They've got some good players that they're bringing in at that position as well. For my count, that's 7 now in the portal with those two, with Davenport to Hawkins, because we saw last week Javin Ware and Ronnie Hamrick, two backup defensive backs that entered the portal. Before that, we saw CJ Rogers enter the portal. Calvin Hill entered the portal, and I'm missing one more, and I don't know why it's slipping my memory, but there was one other portal entry, and none of them were too devastating. But Hawkins is a pretty big one, that they're gonna have to find someone to step up in those positions. I mean, we saw Cole Wilson do a lot of really good things this season. Drew Donnelly, it seemed like he was hurt. They talked him up all spring and in the summer and into fall camp, where they switched him from the left side to the right side because he played better on the right side, where he could peel the top off the defense. Because that was something that was missing a little bit. They have great hands all across these receivers, but you didn't have the take the top off the defense guy. I think Cole Wilson has the ability to do that, but they didn't draw that up a ton this year. That I think they just need some different personnel in that department. Yeah, but that being said, that's basically it. That's it for the pod. That's all I got. I'm ecstatic. I'm real happy. I don't know when the next time I'll be unhappy. It's going to be hard to shake I was in traffic driving down here, people cutting me off, stuff. I don't care. Let them go. Go ahead. No problem. Can't tell me anything right now. 8 wins, sickos. 8 wins. Man, I haven't seen 8 wins since the very first year I covered Texas State. None of us have. 2008. That was the last time. It's my Bobcat heart is very, very full, and I'm very thankful for you sickos tuning in all season. A lot of you coming up to me at the game. Shout out to my guy Derek Stavanoa. Did I do it? Did I pronounce it right? Bought me a beer if I pronounced his name right. So I think I nailed it. Pretty sure I nailed it. No, that was so cool to get to know a lot of y'all on that level, out on those Dallas streets. We painted it maroon and gold. Tell you what. But all right, this episode, we are sponsored by Patreon, my own personal Patreon, patreon.com/win now or get bent. Go check it out. $5 a month supports us. A lot of you keep us afloat with that support. So thank you for that. Check out our merch site, WNOGB.com. You get some sweet merch. Check me out. I'm wearing the Sicko sweatshirt right now. Very proud of this one. I even got the Texas Sicko shirt underneath it. Go check that out, WNOGB.com. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment on our YouTube channel. I was talking with some of y'all, my guy Stavanoa, and he's saying he's going to make an account for his wife. Like and subscribe and everything. And you got to do it. I'm waiting for it. I'm looking. I need it. We need it. We need more. Once we get to 500 subs on YouTube, we can monetize it. And that's when we can make some money off that as well and expand what we do and keep on growing. Follow us on Twitter at Win Now or Get Bent. Follow us on Instagram at WNOGB. Thank you to TGC. Thank you to Family First Cremations. Thank you to Chilsey.com. Thank you to the wizard, Zachary Webb, the man. What a time. We had a great time. Me and that guy had a great time. I had a good time with his buddy Carter as well. That was fun hanging out with him. Me and Carter got to get our little babies together sometime so they become buddies. But shout out to Carter. And shout out to you sickos. I've said it many times before. I'd be shouting out into the void, into nothingness, if it weren't for you consuming this content and faithfully supporting what we have going on. And you've believed in us, you've believed in the Bobcats and what they can do, and that this is the sleeping giant that we've all talked about. And that giant's awake. Boy, is it awake. These little peasants better watch out for that giant. It's coming. Bobcats 2024, 20s. Gonna be our decade. Got that giant wide awake, huh? All right, everybody. Win now or get bent.